It was hard to even tolerate her presence. She pulls herself together and she says, "This is the first time anyone treated me like a woman." The other hippies would not share a room with her. Sex stopped being intimate. It's become soup.
Poor bastard never had soupy sex with Mrs. Claus and is too oblivious to realize that that's a you problem, buddy. But instead his solution is to make sex a problem for everybody else. He wants everyone to be confused about love-making and hand-holding. Welcome back to Project Nihilist. If you've not been here before, you should know this isn't a safe space. On my channel, we watch space lizard humanoids pretending to be Santa Claus while saying stupid shit like this in the first 8 seconds of their video.
So practically speaking, intimacy is very different from sex.
That's because Rabbi Claus says sex with the lights on isn't intimate, and hugs and kisses are destroying civilization. Seriously, Rabbi Claus says in this video how a woman wanted a private consultation, and he kept the door open, and she broke down into fucking tears because she had never been treated like a woman before.
It wasn't so long ago when sex was intimate. And it was scary.
Remember, kids, sex is only intimate if you're properly scared of it. The typical old codger with their, "Oh, back in the good old days, nobody cared about fallopian tubes and clitorises." According to the Rabbi's good book, you dealt with a menstruating woman by kicking her ass out of town for a week. And then on the 8th day, she had to bring a couple birds to the priest for him to sacrifice and sprinkle some blood around because she's such a terrible fucking sinner. God is so offended by the way he made women. If she came into his tent while she was on the rag, the bitch is to be put down, unalived, erased.
Because to engage in sex is to engage in a very intimate relationship. You become bonded, you become entangled with each other. It's emotional, it's terrifying, it's exciting. When did that stop?
Oh dear.
Yeah, I agree. Those butterflies I get in my stomach before I bungee jump are most of the fun, but since I know the risk and how to do it safe, I must apparently be doing it wrong. You know, like when I've had sex outside when the sun's up and it's kind of hard to do it in the fucking dark.
We're paying a price for that now.
I hear religiotards make this claim all of the time about everything from evolution, technology, culture, schools, religion. The list is endless, and they can never illustrate what the cost actually is.
We have no respect for intimacy. In fact, most people could not even define it. What's intimate?
Intimate.
I'd argue missionary sex in the dark under blankets is the opposite of intimate. It's clinical.
Holding hands is intimate?
I might be nitpicking right here, but did Santaccuse just unsubscribe from his own channel when he inserted this pop-up?
Not necessarily. A kiss is intimate? Not always. A hug is intimate? No, it can be just polite. What is intimate? So it turns out that by today's definition, intimacy means if you're feeling intimate.
I'm not sure intimate is one of those feels. If Santaccuse wasn't a Jew, I'd be thinking he's talking about thought crimes and how they're sins of the heart.
If you're feeling intimate, then holding hands is intimate. If you're feeling intimate, then kissing is intimate. Okay, so now you meet a friend and you kiss because you're polite.
I know it was you, Fredo. You broke my heart. You broke my heart.
You were not feeling intimate, but the other person was.
Initial there for oral. Oral. I'm gonna do you too.
I totally agree. Consent is important. You try to stick your finger up someone's nose and pick a winner without them expecting it, you're probably not going to be successful, and they're going to wonder what the fuck is wrong with you. But, if it's mutually agreed upon, picking someone else's nose could be perfectly normal.
Just initial there if you decline anal.
Intimacy is not a feeling, it's a fact.
Fact.
A man and a woman alone together in a room with the doors and windows closed. Is that an intimacy? Nah, not my type. No, she's not my type. Nah, not my type. Nah.
No male can ever be alone with a female in a professional situation because obviously they're wanting to fuck each other's brains out. Even if one of them's 18 and the other one's like 80.
Nah.
All of the young virgins have been trying to fuck this guy his entire life, and he's finally figured it out.
That means you are being intimate and you don't care.
And I said it, and I say it with as much respect as I can, but she is not my type.
It's not that it's not intimate. It's a violation.
Physically, she's not my type, and now that I've gotten indirectly to hear things about her, she wouldn't be my type in any way, shape, or form.
Also, when McNicholas here shifts his weight, if you listen closely enough, you can hear his bone spurs creaking.
It's a violation. Back in the 70s, early 70s, the women who came to the program had all grown up in the 60s.
If I do some elementary school math, beep boop, beep boop, I think my parents grew up in the 60s and were possibly hippies. If Satan Claus is saying there's something wrong with my parents, fuck you, you cocksucker.
And they were nonconformist. They would not go to a beauty parlor that was
bourgeoisie,
nonsense, insulting to women. They didn't dress up, they didn't use makeup, they didn't take care of themselves.
Your breath smells terrible.
And some of them went to real extremes.
Cell phones are bad for the environment and people who live in the environment.
There was one woman there one summer. She had neglected herself something awful.
Fuck me running. I can picture that disgusting woman in my mind. She obviously forgot she was a loser. I mean, how dumb can she be not visiting her local beauty parlor and whatnot?
The other hippies would not share a room with her.
Hello, ma'am. I'm working to clean up the neighborhood from parasites. Do you mind if I take a quick look around your house? I'm afraid you may have hippies.
It's Final Edit Nihilist here. I need to preface this story because we used to go to these hippie festivals and our campsite was invaded by a hippie trying to avoid detection because she didn't pay to get in. And so she thought it was normal to sleep behind our tent.
How did I get here? Man, I'm so high!
Goddamn hippie!
Whoa, dude!
Get out of here!
Not cool!
One morning, I wake up at a hippie fest and had to take a piss. I exit my tent and sneak around out behind of it and relieve myself. And as I was pissing, the ground started moving, and this hippie grifter woke up, and I realized I was pissing on someone. And I offered to buy her a pass. And she was like, well, if you give me $5, I'll go away. And I was like, no, why don't I buy you a pass and you'll go away? Yeah, hippies can be fucked up.
See that? You've got a drum circle in your backyard.
But she needed to talk to me privately. So we went into this little office that I had no windows. She was sitting near the door, and she closed the door.
Well, your attic hippies we can probably fumigate with polymerthane. Your drum circle we're gonna have to gas.
I said, leave the door open a little bit. She said,
they showed up a few days ago, but I didn't think they were hurting anything.
Why in the fuck are you lying to us right now? If she smelled like piss and you wanted to leave the door open because you didn't want to be confined in a closed space with somebody that stinks, we can perfectly accept that. But you pretending she wanted to fuck your brains out and you didn't want any of it, that's horseshit.
I said because a man and a woman should not be in a room together unless they're married.
Yeah, you know, I had a guy in Jackson County. He had a little drum circle in his backyard, turned into a drum circle 4 miles in diameter.
If I'm to understand this correctly, when I interviewed for a job at the Board of Education to be a substitute teacher, the woman and I being alone together wasn't kosher, and it was totally fucking awful. We were disgusting.
She started to sob. She cried her heart out. And I thought I had insulted her, that she was offended.
I'm having a little trouble grasping why making fun of a smelly woman decades after the fact has anything to do with why sex should be scaly. Or, and follow me for a second, maybe it was the stench of your aqua velva that triggered her PTSD.
She pulls herself together and she says, "This is the first time anyone treated me like a woman." Now, if intimacy was a personal, subjective intention or reaction, she could close the door. Nothing intimate is going on here. It was hard to even tolerate her presence. It was hard to even tolerate her presence.
That would probably be a great place to end it. I had actually forgot that the 80-year-old virgin wanted an attaboy because he left the door open in a room without windows with a stinky person. We're just now getting to the fucked up part. Santaccuse wants people to reproduce like rabbits, but only if they can do it boring as fuck, eyes wide shut. Hey, do me a favor. Be sure to like, subscribe, and definitely comment. I love them, you know I read them. And click the bell if you don't want to miss part 2.
Who introduced sex with the lights on? Pornography. It's hard to take a picture with the lights off.
That's Egyptian, Mayan, Sumerian, Babylonian. That's Hawaiian there at the end, and Mesopotamian. Now this one here's our most recent discovery. It's a 35,000-year-old cave painting from the Isle of Skye in Scotland. These are ancient civilizations that were separated by centuries. They shared no contact with one another, and yet